There is a subtle danger of psychedelic trips that nobody's really talking about. And in this video, I want to talk about this trap of psychedelic experiences and how they can actually hinder our growth instead of catalyze and facilitate our transformation. Because, when you have a psychedelic peak experience, you're just like this guy that has this huge insight. You're like so expanded and so expansive. And you're like, this is amazing, especially with molecules like DMT, these like peak experiences. They're just like so profound at times and so transformative. And they are valuable. But then what happens is that people like to get attached to these experiences and keep them in a box in their head, right? It's not an actual experience that's present anymore, but it's something that lives inside our mind as a memory. And basically, the psychedelic experience, the spiritual insight, can keep you stuck in the past when you just try to remember the experience intellectually all the time. And you just have the desire to just like dwell in the memory, or you even use that memory and share it with others. You're like, look at my memory. Bro, I've got such a cool experience. But it refers to this state, this elusive state in the past that's not here anymore. And this is the trap, right? Because that brings you out of presence. But what the experience was showing you was the value of being present. And that also might lead to a perception of our psychedelic experiences that holds us back in our journey of growth and self-realization. It's funny, I read in this book recently, After the Ecstasy, The Laundry, from Jack Cornfield, this quote that actually inspired this video. He said, "When I returned to my teacher, Ajahn Chah, after completing a long period of intensive trainings in other monasteries, and I told him about the insights and special experiences I had encountered, he listened kindly and then responded, 'It's just something else to let go of, isn't it?'" And it just struck me because I recognized the same in my psychedelic journey and in so many psychedelic explorers. It's just another experience to let go of. It's just another thing to let go of. So letting go is actually the key lesson here. Letting go of our experiences, of our psychedelic highs, of this profound thing that is occurring in psychedelic space. Because what a wonderful story from Jack Cornfield, right? We're always trying to make something special out of our experiences, make them important, to put them on a pedestal, and to seek confirmation, to make them bigger or better than what is actually here right now. And so the insights and the special experiences, like our psychedelic experiences as well, are just more things to let go of. And what happens when we let go of these experiences? We arrive back where we are. We come into a place of nowness. We return to what is here, right now, in the center of our experience. And what's funny is that these experiences, at least for me most of the times, are pointing to that. They're pointing to the value of being here now. They're pointing to this like intense presence, to this like deliciousness of the present moment. They're not pointing to the value of remembering them and using these experiences to feel better about ourselves. Right? That's the paradox. That's the funny thing. And yet the way to get here is by letting them go. That's the subtle trap of the psychedelics. Right? It's easy to get caught in the notion that there is a goal or a state or a special experience to achieve, something that we're chasing. And then we read accounts of enlightened masters, who stay in that state. And we read accounts of people after psychedelic experiences whose life is completely transformed. And we compare ourselves to those. And we sense how our own ideas and concepts are not there. But that again leads us outside of what is here right now. And this looking of what is outside, I don't know how to, that's an I. This looking, this constant seeking of what is outside is leading us to be trapped in our mind. Right? We're constantly looking for the next thing, for the next experience, for something special to occur. And Nisargadatta actually said in regards to this, he said, looking outside of light and for light and sound, all disciples undergo some spiritual experience, and that itself is bondage. They compare their experiences with others. Those disciples think they are very advanced. They are attached to the experiences of sound and light, etc., because they identify themselves with the body. They want a shape and design. Therefore, they revel in experiences which indicate shape and design. Again, it's this duality of the DMT space almost, where we just get caught up on attaching to the shapes, to the visuals, to the visions, to the craziness of the experience, to the other. And then we think we're advancing, yet we're just accumulating more experiences to let go of. And I'm not saying these experiences aren't valuable. Like, these experiences are incredibly valuable. They are powerful in a sense, but they're only the beginning, right? When we're blessed to have these experiences, these awakenings, these mystical states, we're blessed to be at the very beginning of our journey. It's just one step along the way. And you can't cling to that as a new identity, and say, like, I'm the one who's had these cool special experiences. No? Look at me. I've had this crazy 5-MeO DMT breakthrough experience 3 years ago where I realized everything is one and I am God. But when you do that, when you make an identity out of that, when you form an attachment to that, you're in trouble again. You've lost it, right? Because after these experiences, you get back to the messiness of life. I don't know how to draw this. Maybe like an apple, you're having relationships, you have to take care of your food, and you have to, clean the dishes. This is a fork, by the way. And you just come back to the messiness of your life, right? And you're just constantly seeking for the next experience, for the next thing. Yet this is the next step of your evolution, to live there fully, right? Only there you can integrate what you have learned, because you're inevitably going to come back to your body. So it's not just about the peak experience, it's about how you live based on that realization and that experience here, how you show up afterwards, in each and every moment afterwards, in the ordinary. Actually, I want to share a little bit of a personal story in regards to this. Recently I have felt a bit of a desire not to share my psychedelic experiences that much anymore. Not with people around in my environment, but also not too much online. And I have been very passionate about this, and I might still continue to share a little bit, but there's kind of like a process of detachment happening for me. Even with the experiences themselves that I'm having right now, there's a certain sense of detachment from them. It's quite weird, actually. I'll share more about this in the future, but I've had a 5-MeO DMT journey, and it was just another experience arising and passing away. And there was nothing to it, there was no big deal to it. Even though it was intense, it was profound, it was non-dual to a certain extent. But these experiences, they just arise and then they pass away. And it relates to this Nisargadatta quote as he's warning us against the attachment of these sensory experiences, of these visions, of these shapes, of the peak even, right? Of these advanced, thinking we have these advanced spiritual experiences. And it brings me back to this core quote that I base a lot of my teaching and philosophy around from Bodhidharma, who said, "Don't hold on to any appearance whatsoever, you will succeed. I have no other advice." Basically, we learn here to detach ourselves from the experiences. We're not holding on to them. We're not attaching to them. We're not grasping towards any kind of experience. May it be the psychedelic experience we've had in the past or the experiences that are arising right now. But we're practicing a certain sense of equanimity and detachment from them. And a little nuance that I want to bring in here is that detachment doesn't mean that you don't let the experience penetrate you. Actually, you let the experience fully penetrate you, right? You let it into your heart fully, you open your heart fully to that, and that's actually how you can detach. Because if you're not able to leave the experience as it is, if you hold back on the emotions that are present in any kind of experiences and you don't allow yourself to go all the way through them, then you can never get really detached because you're too busy being afraid. You're too busy being constrictive and resistant towards the experience. So this is actually quite an important distinction on detachment, right? But to conclude, we sense that this perfection, right, that must be around here somewhere. This one, right? But where is it? Is it in the next experience or the one after that? Is it in the breakthrough we've had a week ago or a month ago? What if our true practice of integration could be an embrace of all that is, here and now, in the ordinary, and in the psychedelic experience, of course. Not wanting anything special or unusual to happen, because as soon as you're striving and expecting again, you've kind of like lost the great perfection that is here and now. What if we learn to let go into this perfection again and again? Not just in our psychedelic trips or in our memories of them, but here in our ordinary life. And funnily enough, this is also what the psychedelics are reinforcing, as it is through them that we learn and see this. It is through my psychedelic experiences that I've come to realize this. We have these special experiences, these mystical peaks, and they themselves are valuable, sometimes deeply transformative, but also we see that living in our head based on the memory of the experience is not the way. So we learn that there's something to let go of as well. Because the trap is to put all of these experiences in your bag, in your little backpack of experiences that you have accumulated, and then brag about them and carry them around, right? But all you have is not true freedom, but it's more baggage. It's a heavy load that you've got to carry around. So let the peak occur. Appreciate the peak fully. Detach from it by giving yourself fully to it. And then let it go and move on. And keep being here, right now. Because that is where the integration is happening. The path forward is one where we give relevance to the relative. And we see the emerging nature of the ground of everything in the perfect dance of detached appreciation, in psychedelic space and in the world itself. So I hope you enjoyed this little message. Bit of a more nuanced and advanced teaching for people who have already had quite a few psychedelic experiences, but I felt it was quite something important to share. And I feel that this is kind of like the direction that my understanding and my work is developing towards. So if you're curious about a deeper class on the potential of psychedelics, you can watch this video right here. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, there's a link in the video description. You can reach out to me via Instagram or book a call. So much love. Keep on letting go. Keep on being here now. And I'll see you in the next one.